The year was 2014, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out, and LEGO decided to make The Collector a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. So I went ahead and I bought my first custom figure, being the Phoenix Customs collector figure, as you can see here. The only reason I could justify buying this figure was that it was damaged, so it was discounted, and paying around $30 to $40 for this figure versus the $200 for the actual Comic-Con version was a very easy pill to swallow. I got this figure, and that was it. I didn't buy another custom figure or part until this year in 2022, where I discovered Citizenbrick, Minibigs, and all the other custom companies that I bought from and reviewed this year. And I just wanted to do a quick video just going over my top 10 figures of 2022. But first, let's just start off by showing off everything I ended up getting this year. I have so many figures now, I've been experimenting with ways to display them, like in this bigger plastic case, and in smaller cases like these. I got my collector with some other Phoenix custom figures now, and in a group of Marvel characters. And of course, I had to put the Napoleon Dynamite figures by Citizenbrick together as well. It's hard to find storage for all your figures, so it's always nice when you get some in resealable packaging so there's somewhere to put them. And at the end of the day, it's hard to admit that sometimes you end up with a couple too many figures that you just have to put them all in a bag together or just have them loose somewhere or another. I didn't just buy figures though, I got this trophy fish. I even bought the custom Lego volleyball from Castaway. And I ended up with way too many custom Lego heads that there's no way that some of these aren't going to live their whole lives in a plastic bag.
Oh no!
It never ends. There's so many custom parts. Going from one figure to all this in 1 year? Wait, does that mean I have a problem? Once again, I gotta consult the 8-ball. Oh, perfect. Well, that's a relief. I think I presented my credibility enough through all of these purchases this last year to be a somewhat expert in spending way too much money on custom printed plastic pieces. Now let's move on into my top 10 custom LEGO figures of 2022. As a quick honorable mention, I threw together some of my favorite parts from this year with the Citizenbrick Bolt Gun Enthusiast hair as well as bolt gun, the Citizenbrick Possum torso, which I just love the design of this. It's such a fun, just cool piece to have. I only got it in some of the kind of trash colored torsos though, but having a print with a possum on a puke green shirt is almost perfect. And I also threw on the Freddy Krueger claw. And the last piece are these purple Minibigs Nike pants, which are some of my favorite parts. I have a couple different colors of these and they're awesome. First figure honorable mention is the Intergalactic Explorer by Punk Rock Plastic. I think this figure has some really great intricate printing, but just because it is a original IP, I don't have a super strong connection to it. But I can look at this and definitely see it's a cool figure. It might be worth picking up if you're into this sort of thing. And the last couple of honorable mentions are for Ktownbricks. They have some really great selections if you go on their store. Some of my favorite figures I got from them this year are the 2 Dune figures. Also, their pirate options are really great. These legs are just perfect, honestly. But I don't have a super strong connection to Dune, but I can definitely admit these figures are awesome. If you like the Dune movies, definitely pick them up. Now let's get into the actual list at number 10. The number 10 spot is a little bit of a personal figure for me, one of my Sig figs. Throughout my videos, you've seen them at the beginning, where I have a couple different combinations of custom parts that I use for them. One of my favorite parts of custom Lego is that option to use the parts in your collection and build different figures. So while this isn't a custom figure that was sold, it's a combination of parts that I thought were important and represented me. I went to the University of Minnesota, so having a maroon leather jacket like this mixed with Nike pants, which I wore a lot when I worked for the Gopher football team, is just cool, and it's awesome to finally have like a figure that represents something very specific to me. I also built a axe trophy and used those star eyes to just show that he's kind of in awe of it. I display him next to this custom Goldie Gopher that I built. Let's go into number 9. Coming from far, far away, we have Dexter Jetster by Hill Hilligus. I think this figure has been released a couple times over the years, but I did get this new in 2022 from them. I bought this on May 4th, and it's awesome to have this figure, especially based on that video game look, finally in a physical form. Really great molding on that upper torso piece that is custom molded to have those 4 arms. I do think that this figure could be improved just by having more range in the arms. You can barely move these top ones. And in their newer versions, they have dual molded heads with like teeth and eyes and stuff. And I think that would add a bit to the figure. But when I bought this, those options weren't available. But a cool figure. And let's move on to number 8. In this spot, we have a classic cartoon character with Charlie Brown. This figure wasn't available on the Citizen Brick website, but it was in conventions where I got it at Brick World Chicago. This is one of those figures I was really excited about. I love pop culture, and Charlie Brown is one of those classic comic characters. I think there were a couple of versions of this character that were released for Citizen Brick Day in the past, but again, bought this brand new in Brick World, so it still counts. And I'm so glad to finally have this Charlie Brown figure in my collection. And it made the top 10 for this year. At number 7, we have another figure I got at Brick World, which is this gold version of their robot, which is considered a misprint by Citizen Brick. The torso and legs were available in silver in the Citizen Brick store, and this version here is a special color variant, which is available in very limited quantities. And that's one of the best parts about going to conventions is you can go through all these misprint bins and grab random parts in different colors. I was very lucky to get this robot in gold. I love the look of this, and having a gold robot to go off of the silver one is kind of a cool contrast to having this figure as one of my rarest ones in my collection. Very glad to have gotten this year. Let's move on to the next figure. We have another Citizen Brick figure at number 6 with their Mad Max from the Road Warrior. There is a bit of a bias towards these Citizen Brick figures just because I do end up having a ton more of them just because they're one of my favorite companies that I discovered this year. And this figure is just really great. You can see all the printing with that leg brace on the leg there. It has a zipper print on the arms, custom molded shoulder piece printing on the hair, and a Brick Arms gun, which is dual molded. This figure is just amazing, and again, I love movies, so it's great to have something like this. The next figure, I promise you, isn't Citizen Brick and is another great one. At number 5, we have the Sjbricks Doodle Bob. I was very lucky to pick this up on the restock earlier this year. This is printed on the spacesuit SpongeBob, which was in the rocket ship set, and pairs really well with the rest of the Lego SpongeBob collection. It matches the cartoon almost perfectly, and really doesn't stick out as being a classic figure. It just looks like what Lego would make now and in the past. I'm a big fan of this figure. Let's move on to the next one. This figure is one of the more expensive ones I got this year. At number 4, I have the Phoenix Customs Amazing Spider-Man figure, which is based off of the suit from the first movie, and just has a bunch of great printing like his figures always do. And after I bought that collector figure way back in the day, I've always followed Phoenix Customs, but couldn't pull the trigger on any of his figures because of the prices. But I had to go and get this one when it went back on stock on his website. And after seeing No Way Home, of course, I had to get all of the different versions of the Spider-Man movie suits. I'm waiting on the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit, as well as the newer version of the Tobey Maguire suit, just to complete that trio. Very excited to get those ones. Another great part about this figure even is that it came with an extra head, just for that Andrew Garfield look. This figure really is just amazing, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. In bronze at number 3, we have the Citizen Brick hot dog guy. I've said a couple different times that I really like movie characters in this video, but I also love just fun characters. They don't have to be based on anything. And this is just one of those really great figures. It's just a hot dog salesman. He has a face like he's eating a hot dog, this funny cardboard stand sort of thing that says, "Ask me about your wiener," custom mustard bottle. And it even came with a cool clamshell packaging that just says hot dog guy. This is a bit upgraded. I switched out the white arms for those dual molded white and yellow arms. I think it adds a lot to this figure. And that torso says hot dog on it as well. This is just one of those perfect figures that can fit into Lego City very well, and I'm so glad I ended up getting it. Number 2, I have the first of the Trueredstudio monster line with their Fishman. I really enjoy the sand green parts that they use for this. I think it creates a very awesome look. Mixing it with that lime green also just creates a very cool color combination. This is definitely one of my favorite figures from the monster line and overall throughout the years. You can see here it's at the number 2 spot. The first time this released, I was dilly-dallying a bit too much on their website, and it sold out before I could check out, just because I was trying to get a bunch of different color combinations of it because I liked it so much. And it was really devastating, and I got really lucky that they restocked it eventually later on in the year, and I ended up getting one. This figure is just really fun and unique, and it came with a printed tile as well for that number 1 for the Monsters line. I really like this figure, and I'm excited to see what other monsters come out in the future. I have a couple of them, and hopefully if they come up with some cool figures again, I'll order from them as well. And at that number 1 spot is sadly a figure that I didn't actually end up getting, and it's the Spider Frank figure by Minibigs. By the time I got into custom Lego and checked out Minibigs, it had sold out originally in that red and blue coloring, as you can see on the screen here. I did end up picking up this gray and dark gray version though, just to have a version of it in some way. I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's one of my favorite shows. I think it's so funny. And this is one of the best Frank Reynolds characters that they did in the show. And it just has a really great resemblance. You can really see Danny DeVito on that head print. And even though it is simple, it is very effective. And hopefully someday I can get the red and blue version, just because I really like this figure, and it is my number 1 of 2022. I said that all of my top figures needed to be released in 2022, and I have to include this figure as the super secret number 1, and that is the Citizen Brick Parody Enthusiast, based on Weird Al Yankovic. As soon as I realized that Citizen Brick ended up making a Weird Al figure, I knew I had to track one down, and I got really lucky in June. I got this one on eBay for probably a little bit too much money than I'm comfortable to admit, but this figure is amazing. I really enjoy it, and unfortunately, just because I spent so much money on it, I don't want to take it out of the packaging. And hopefully I can track down a second version of this, or they restock it, just so I can have one in the box and out of it. But this figure's awesome. I love it. And with that, here is my top 10 list right here, all laid out. I do think that this was a very good year to start collecting, and just having all these figures laid out right here. There's just a crazy variety of stuff that came out this year. Whether it is classic action movies or original characters by companies, there's just so much out there. And seeing the different details that these designers are putting into these, it is really easy to see these as more works of art versus just a toy to have. With how many great products came out this year, this has just been a really difficult video. Honestly, just because it is so subjective about which one is the best. It really depends on the day a lot of the time. Sometimes it is about, whoa, that figure's so cool, it has such great printing on it. Another day it can really just be about which figures end up making you smile, just based on their humor, memes that they're attached to. And for me, collecting is about having those physical reminders of things you enjoy, whether it is different Star Wars characters or cartoon characters from your childhood, can all really be there when it comes to custom Lego. And with the quantity coming out, there's no way I could get everything. Let me know in the comments, are there any standout figures that you got this year that I'm missing on my list? Or if there are any figures in this video that are some of your favorites, or any figures you hope to see in the future. I know me, I would love to get some more Breaking Bad figures that are a bit more modern and more readily available. I've had a great time reviewing figures this year for you guys. Thank you for all the support throughout the year, and I know going into next year I'm going to also be making some great content. Thank you to all the companies that made figures that I ended up buying. I've really enjoyed getting all the different products and seeing what you're capable of making. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I've been Brick Ready Up, and I'll see you in the next video.